Well, I'm Madi O'Mara.
And I'm Alec Cole.
And we are talking to you guys about Chapter 3 from The Power of Our Words, Open-Ended Questions, Stretching Children's Academic and Social Learning. Okay, so the learning outcome of this presentation is at the end of Chapter 3, Open-Ended Questions presentation, participants will be able to demonstrate the effective use of open-ended questions and construct their own yeah.
And some Danielson components related to open-ended questions. The ones that we chose were from Domain 2A, and which is creating an environment of respect and rapport. 3A, communicating with students. 3B, using questioning and discussion techniques. 3C, engaging students in learning. And 3E, demonstrating flexibility and responsiveness. And you might ask yourself, what is an open-ended question? An open-ended question is a question for which there is no single right or wrong answer. Open-ended questions support students' academic and social learning by encouraging students to share their thoughts, pushing them to think through things for themselves. Open-ended questions encourage students to learn using their natural learning cycle, self-awareness, promotes engagement, and nurturing sense of community. And you'll learn more from those four here soon.
Okay, so the first one to promoting is natural learning cycle. Open-ended questions encourage and promote your natural learning cycle. We talked about this a lot in child psychology with Piaget and Dewey, but the cycle itself is begins based off self-related ideas and goals. And then the second step in the cycle is a child actively explores by trying out materials and ideas and then solving the problem they came up with. And then third is children reflect back on their explorations and make sense of them. And then just to make connections to this, I came up with an example for you guys. So step one would be a child sees an older child playing baseball. This younger child is then inspired and thinks that he or she really wants to learn to play baseball. Then step two would be child who wants to learn to play baseball comes up with a way to try out playing baseball by learning how to hit a ball off a tee. And then step three would be after hitting the baseball off a tee for a little while, the child realizes, wow, I can hit the baseball past second base from home plate. I couldn't do that before. The child then incorporates his or her newly gained experiences into their understanding of how the world works. That's just an example. And then below is just ways to incorporate open-ended questions that promote this.
Yep. And then the next one, that open-ended questions encourages self-awareness, and it helps children become aware of how their choices affect themselves and others. And this is done because when open-ended questions are asked, this prompts students to reflect on specific actions taking place within their own thinking. It also promotes engagement. In a classroom full of open-ended questions, students talk more than the teacher. This is good. The children talk in response in such questions they're thinking and making information meaningful to themselves, and this is true active learning. We really want to focus just on your students and let them kind of bring their own thoughts to the table in discussion, which promotes more engagement in your class.
Okay, and then the fourth one that that open-ended questions encourages a sense of community. So when you're asking students open-ended questions based off of their own interests and viewpoints, it also allows for the entire class to understand the student as well. So an example of this is we'll use the biography. If I'm the student in this case, and I read a biography on like a famous veterinarian, then a lot of my classmates will be like, oh wow, she really enjoys animals. She loves animals. And then they're going to keep that connection with me for the rest of the year, as well as learn more about this famous vet. So it just allows for the class to grow. It allows for the teacher to get to know the students by doing open-ended questions, and it allows the students to get to know each other as well.
And so the next thing from the reading power of our words, we brought a scenario to our talk. And this is like where the teacher asks this question is really just trying to figure out where the students are, like what they come up with. Like she has no expectations, just asking us questions, see what they answer. So the question was, how might you use colored pencils to show what you know about butterflies?
Student 1 responded with, you could draw a butterfly and show the different parts.
Student 2 then says, you could make a map of monarch butterflies' migration paths.
And then student 3 responded with, you could make a chart of the life cycle of a butterfly.
And then student 4, you could draw and label different kinds of butterflies.
And lastly, student 5, you could write a story about the life of a butterfly using different colors for different times in its life. And what the book had said about this response is the teacher was just blown away by this response. She would have never imagined someone to come up with this. And it only happened because she asked an open question and was genuinely curious. She wanted to know the answer. So that's what the power of open-ended questions can do, is can give you inspiration, give your classmates inspiration. That was a scenario. And then when to use open-ended questions, there's an endless amount of times that you should use open-ended questions. These are just a few that were listed from the power of our words. So a couple, to increase awareness of a topic or process, to encourage children to make personal connections to the content they're learning. Just let you guys look through that. But most likely, if you want to do a unit on basically anything, you can use open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are always encouraged.
And then we just kind of have a question for you real quick. I know we didn't really have the right thought process, but we'd like to do this live. But so we want to ask you, should you ask open-ended questions?
Closed-ended questions.
Or, yeah, closed-ended questions.
So we'll just let you guys pause the video, respond, and then we'd love to see what you say to that one.